Hi folks, the question we're going to address today is whether it's valuable to have brief chats with our children if they're reading chapter books or longer stories. So the answer to this question is yes, it's highly valuable to have those chats with your children as they're reading a chapter book or longer text. And there are a couple of reasons that this is really a very important thing to do. Firstly, it shows that you are genuinely interested in the experience your child is having as they read. Secondly, it gives the children an opportunity to reflect, to digest, and then to express or articulate ideas from the text. And we know that is strongly connected to deepening those understandings and synthesising or marrying those understandings up with what we currently know and understand about the world and where these ideas fit when we bring them into those existing understandings. There are a couple of different things that can be helpful in some of these read aloud books. So this one's Charlie and the Great Glass Elevator. And in this particular book, there's a table of contents, and on the table of contents, each of the chapters is given a name. Well, they're really handy, those names, because they often link to the significant idea or main idea of that chapter. So they can be a really wonderful way of supporting the children's understanding of what was relevant in the chapter that they read. So sometimes they're listed at the very front of the book. This novel by Jackie French is Hitler's Daughter, and it doesn't have a table of contents that lists the chapters, but the chapters do have a title, and once again those titles reflect a main or significant idea that the chapter is about. So when you are having those little chats, it's handy for you to know whether the chapter has a name or a title. That can help you to draw your child's attention to that if they don't talk about that in their conversation with you. And you might start that conversation with them by just saying, oh, what's happening in the book you are reading? Or what happened in that chapter? And if you know what the main or significant idea is, then you're able to sort of weave that into the conversation if your child perhaps has missed it. Now, not all chapter books will have those summaries or main ideas in their chapter heading, and so in this sense you might be asking the children, who was the chapter about, and what happened in that chapter? Was there a problem in that chapter? If there was a problem, what made the problem happen, or what caused the problem to happen? How did the characters feel about that? And what did they do about that? Did they say anything about that? And did it resolve itself, or is it something that is still to be resolved as we keep going forward? So there are some little key questions that you could weave into your little chat with the child to help them to think about what might have been important along the way. So those questions again that you might be asking the children are to think about who was in the chapter. You might even ask the children, when or where were things happening. So that will help you to get an idea of where, of the context of those events in the story. You might be asking them, what was the problem or what happened? Why did something occur? How did characters feel along the way? And of course, how was it resolved, or is it still to be resolved? So those little questions can help to guide the conversation and help the children to determine what was relevant about what I read, what was important for me to know, and what's important for me to be tracking as I move forward with this book. It's important that those little chats about the book feel genuine and authentic, that they feel like a natural conversation rather than a quiz. But certainly there's a lot to be gained by the children thinking about what's important along the way. There's a lot to be gained by them sharing it with you, and it's a wonderful interaction and way to keep abreast of not only what your child is reading, but also how they feel about what they're reading and what their understandings are of what they're reading as well. I hope you found this useful. I'll see you next time.